Hello and welcome to Wool & Works. Today we're going to be learning how to do a yarn over, and you'll need to know this if you're wanting to get into lace work knitting. Here's a top that I made recently, and each of these little holes that you see are actually yarn over stitches. And the way that you work these will change depending if they're followed by a knit or a purl stitch. So I'll be showing you all 4 combinations today, which will give you everything you need to know if you want to make a top like this for yourself. For this tutorial, you're going to need a ball of yarn and a pair of knitting needles. So the first yarn over we'll do is a knit stitch, followed by a yarn over and another knit stitch. So we're going to knit this first stitch, and to do the yarn over, we simply take the working yarn, bring it between our 2 needles so that it sits at the front, and then we knit the next stitch, and you'll see as I wrap it to knit, this extra loop pops up. So wrap the yarn, and I've got 1, 2, and now 3 stitches. And where that yarn over is, it creates a gap or a hole. So let's do that again. We're going to knit 1, then to yarn over, we take the working yarn, bring it between our 2 needles so it sits at the front. And then as we knit the next stitch and wrap the yarn around to knit, creates that yarn over and another gap in there. So this would be written as, in your pattern, it could be written as K-Y-O-K, and that would be knit, yarn over, and then knit again. The next yarn over we're going to learn is knit, yarn over, followed by a purl stitch. So we'll insert our needle, knit this first stitch, and to do a yarn over that's followed by a purl stitch, you're going to take the working yarn, bring it between your 2 needles so that it's at the front, wrap it around to the back again, and then bring it to the front for a second time. So you're going to wrap it all the way around your needle. I'll show that again. So we've knitted a stitch, and then we're going to take the working yarn and bring it between our 2 needles, wrap it to the back, and bring it back between our 2 needles. So it'll be sitting at the front. And then we will purl this next stitch. So you can see there's our yarn over there. Let's do that again. So I'm going to put the yarn to the back for a knit stitch. And then for the yarn over, we're going to take the yarn, bring it between our 2 needles, wrap it round to the back, and bring it back around to the front again for a purl stitch. You can see it creates those gaps, which are our yarn overs. I'll do that one more time. So we're going to knit this one, wrap the yarn from the back, between our needles to the front, around the back again, and back to the front. So it does a full loop around our right hand needle. And then we'll purl this next stitch. And that is how to do a knit, yarn over, purl. So that will be written in your pattern as K-Y-O-P. Now we'll do the purl, yarn over, purl stitch, and this will often be written in your patterns as P-Y-O-P. So we insert our needle from the right hand side of the loop to do a purl stitch, wrap the yarn and slide off. Now to do the yarn over, when it's followed by a purl stitch, that's when we want to wrap the yarn all the way around our right hand needle. So we're going to take the working yarn, bring it around the back of our right hand needle, all the way around to the front. So I'll show that again. We take the working yarn, wrap it to the back of our right hand needle and back around to the front. So we form a loop all the way around our right hand needle. Now the yarn's back in the correct position to to do a purl stitch. And you'll see it creates a nice loop over our needle with a gap there for the yarn over. So let's do that again. We'll purl a stitch. Now for our yarn over, wrap the yarn from the front of our needle around the back, all the way around the right hand needle back to the front. Then we'll purl this next stitch. Now I'll show you what happens if we just put the working yarn to the back, similar to how you do a yarn over for a knit stitch. I'll show you why this doesn't work. So if we wrap now, you'll see it's coming from underneath our needle. So we're coming under and around for that purl stitch, and then we're pulling up a loop. So we end up with almost 2 stitches here. Our working yarn's coming in between this stitch here. It's just a very strange stitch and it doesn't quite work. So I'll show you it again. So you can see what it does there. And it's a bit hard to tell where you insert your needle when you're working back into this stitch. Do you pull it around and work into those 2 loops, or this way and work into these 2? So that's why when doing a yarn over followed by a purl stitch, you can't just simply take the yarn to the back and purl. You need to wrap it all the way around your right hand needle, forming a full loop, and then purl that stitch. And that's how to do purl, yarn over, purl stitch. The purl, yarn over, knit stitch will be written in your patterns as P-Y-O-K. So we start with a purl stitch for this first cast on. And to do our yarn over, we actually leave the yarn exactly where it is. So we've done a purl stitch, which means our working yarn is at the front of our needle. And you'll remember when we do a yarn over and then followed by a knit stitch, we bring the yarn to the front, so it's already there. All we need to do is insert our needle, and as we wrap the yarn to knit this stitch, this loop here that's created is our yarn over, as you can see there. So we'll do that again. So bring our yarn to the front to do a purl stitch. For our yarn over, we can leave the yarn where it is, and as we knit this next stitch and wrap, we'll create our yarn over stitch, and there you are. So when doing the purl, yarn over, knit, after your purl stitch, you don't need to move the working yarn, you can simply leave it where it is. So you can almost virtually do a purl stitch followed by a knit stitch without moving your working yarn, and that will be your purl, yarn over, knit stitch. So now you know how to do a yarn over. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss my future tutorials. I'd love to see what you're making, so let me know in the comments down below how you're using your yarn overs. If you want to see what I'm making at the moment, head over to @WoolenWorks on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching.